Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video, and today's video is coming already as the games and that are coming thick and fast, and we try and take the good and the bad of the last 7 days and push forward to see what this team is actually made of, especially our most recent game where it was all good when we ripped the absolute soul from one half of the teams that currently play in the capital. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to talk about the other half of the capital with hopefully similar result. And you know what, as this is the third preview video in the last 7 days, we're not going to faff around here. Let's just go ahead and dive right into the old oppositional preview and again have a look at this Hibs side who at my current time of recording are sitting 5th in the spfl table, a whopping 28 points behind Rangers in the league. Did I say whopping there? I need to stop watching JR's podcast before I film, honestly. Now, unlike the last few preview videos, we're not really here to talk about a team who's on a dangerous run of form, who are playing really well or anything. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. Hibs have really struggled throughout this league campaign for sheer consistency. They've had good wee runs here or there, but they just kind of find that consistent level that what they've had previously, and that led them to obviously parting with then manager Jack Ross before appointing a new manager on the 20th of December by the name of Shaun. Maloney. Regarding the managerial fashion, he's actually sort of built up a good reputation as a coach and everything like that, so they brought him in hoping to turn things around and push them towards those European spots. But as you can probably tell by the tone of today's video and some of the things we've already discussed, it's not quite happened just yet for Hibs and Shaun Maloney, and that's despite Shaun Maloney's managerial career starting very well, as they got 2 wins out of his first 2 games in charge, one of them being a 1-0 win over Aberdeen and the other one being a big win over Dundee United as well, and that really got the feel-good factor. But that managerial bounce quickly faded as they went on to lose 3 of their next 5 league matches, with the only 2 anomalies during that run being awful 0-0 performances and draws, where honestly the one versus Motherwell, they were against 10 men in that game and they didn't even muster a shot on target. And the other disappointing 0-0 is one we discussed in last week's preview video, that being the Edinburgh Derby, in which they were second best in every single category. And I think the Hibs fans were right to feel very disappointed and very frustrated about that limp display versus Hearts. But where we saw a response after a disappointment on Derby Day, Hibs actually followed that disappointment up with a home game versus St Mirren, what they lost 1-0. Now, in terms of chances, yes, they created more chances. They actually had some shots on target in that game. But again, it's another game of football filled with pretty possession, but no much substance. And you know, so naturally gives me the perfect transition, because where the league results haven't changed too much, this Hibs side has, believe it or not, and it's definitely their play style and how they line up, because you knew how they played under Jack Ross, the kind of 4-2-3-1 where it was built on pace in behind, using Boyle as the focal point, trying to be a counter-attack side almost, and really going after teams that way. Well, that now has been kind of pushed to one side as they've reverted to a 3-4-1-2 formation, if you want to get fancy, or you can call it how it is and basically call it a 3-5-2, because they love to flood the middle of the park, they love to keep the ball, and they love to dictate the tempo, or try to dictate the tempo, because there is one thing: he might not be picking up a lot of wins as manager, but he wins the possession battle in nearly every single game Hibs have played, and that's been an interesting change. And normally coming into these types of games, especially versus Rangers, I'd say they'd probably revert to something a lot more defensive or anything like that, but they actually lined up this way versus Celtic not too long ago as well, when they won the possession battle, but again they went ahead and lost where it mattered in terms the scoreline. So you might actually see them lining up in this 3-5-2 tomorrow versus Rangers, that again is built on keeping the ball, playing out from the back and keeping it ticking that way. However, I'm going to say one thing: I certainly expect them to drop more into a 5 when defending. I don't think they'll leave it as a flat 3 versus us. And if I'm honest with you, that's all I've really got to say about this Hibs side. Yes, they're struggling right now and they can't really find consistency, but they were playing like that before the semi-final versus us. Now, I know we had our own circumstances going on behind the scenes, but you saw how they started that game, full pelt, really going after it, and I expect them to turn up. I didn't expect the Hibs side that we face tomorrow to be the same team that we've seen limped through the last few games. No, because we know what it means to these Hibs players and everything, like even the Hibs fans, etc. I'm not trying to take digs or anything like that, it's just facts, people. I mean, look at the likes of Hibs and the Aberdeens. When's their best performances? Exactly. I mean, Aberdeen's sitting 7th in the league right now, but because Scott Brown laughed at Ryan Kent, everyone's happy with it. It's very, very tin pot aspect of Scottish football, but it is a warning sign for these Rangers players that no matter how bad and how limp they've been playing, they will be right up for this game, and we'll need to match that intensity and start the game the exact way we started versus Hearts, because if we start slack and give them anything, they'll grow real belief for that game, given how the last one went between the two sides. So to summarise, I'm expecting to see the very best of what these Hibs players can actually muster up, because if there is one thing they are consistent at, it's turning up whenever Rangers comes to town, and they've shown that and made a game of it every single time that we've seen them. But moving away from the Hibs perspective, I want to get into the Rangers side of today's video, and yes, there is a bit of a smile washing over the face right now that wasn't there during the last preview video, because by the time we got to this stage for the Hearts preview video, I was still angry and disappointed about what happened last Wednesday, people. But now, a week on, and being able to see that response from the players, being able to see the distinct change and tweak of the formation and build-up play and how we went about our business from Giovanni, I think the penny might have dropped now, and with these players chasing everybody and just asserting their will on the opposition. No starting then sitting off, starting then sitting off. No, just going at it the entire freaking time, the way a Rangers team should be, ladies and gentlemen. I can see a lot of encouragement and a lot of positivity, despite a lot of the feelings being still mixed over what's happened over the last 7 days. Seeing how these players responded has me in a lot better spot now. And again, what an opportunity and what a team to do it against, to show and keep that ball rolling. Now, I'm going to say something that's very obvious to every single person watching today's video, but forgive me for a second, because that ball does need to keep on rolling, because it isn't alright to start shifting down a gear because you answered the criticism that was there last week with that phenomenal performance versus Hearts. No, you have shown as a bunch of players that that is your standard, and that's what we've came to expect now from you, because you can do it. We know he can do it. That's what he's done for the majority of last season, so they can't retreat back. They've still got to keep that freaking hunger and play to the standard they've shown, both collectively but also individually as well. Because to me, when I think back to that game and I went back and watched it and everything like that, we won our individual battles all that park, and that has to be the standard that's set from now till the end of the freaking season. And there isn't any excuses to allow the standards to drop away from what we saw versus Hearts. Now again, I'm not sitting here saying it needs to be 5-0, and I'm expecting 5-0s from now to the end of the season, even though I would take 5-0s from now to the end of the season. If you want to supply me with multiple 5-0s, Mr. Rangers, I'd eat that like Gustus Galoop for Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. But I know that's pretty unrealistic, but what I will take from now to the end of the season is that application, effort, and the way we went about our business, which again for me should be the standard when you wear that. And that's all I've really wanted to say regarding our Rangers conversation. That's all I wanted to vent and get out there and get off the old chest. Now we have to transition into some Rangers team news, and that kind of discusses how we line up coming into this game as well, because going into the game in a perfect world, I'm saying you pick the exact same starting 11 and you go out there, because you reward that type of performance. However, we unfortunately got the bad news that Ryan Jack is officially out of this game tomorrow because of that shocking challenge from behind. Even he commented about on Instagram, if you follow it, as Willie Collum did say, play on, and it wasn't a foul. You just look at that. I mean, what can you do when you've got guys lunging in for behind on someone's ankle and the referee goes, play on? It's absolutely baffling. So he's unfortunately ruled out of the game tomorrow, but it's nothing too serious or anything like that. It's just, obviously, when you take that dunt on your ankle, you know it would play 2 days later, so he'll be back for the weekend and gone forth. So that does leave a little bit of a space in the midfield, and that would normally when I'd start to go, okay, Aaron Ramsey maybe coming in then for a start. But strangely, Giovanni has told Hibs 24 hours in advance that Aaron Ramsey won't be starting the game as he's not ready to start. That's weird. You just offloaded a lot of homework from Hibs, potentially preparing and planning for the likes of Aaron Ramsey. That took off the old thing. So unfortunately, Aaron Ramsey won't be starting tomorrow, so it leaves the conversation who partners John Lundstram, because to me, that laddie starts. I don't care what happens going forward between now and kick-off. There's one name on that starting 11 who deserves it based on that performance, coming in for the cold and being looked at as a poor player and disappointing player by some of the fan base. It's John Lundstram all day. So for me, it naturally goes to Glenn Kamara. I would like to see Lundstram and Glenn Kamara as that pair in the midfield. Obviously, they played on a free and it didn't work at all, but as the grunt work people, you know what I mean? The guys that gets on the ball there and dominates. That would be an interesting pairing to actually see work out. I think it worked out well versus Hearts in the latter stages. Yes, the game was already kind of won and everything like that, but give them a chance, in my opinion. That would be the way I would go. What about you though? Would you go with Glenn Kamara? Would you go with Stephen Davis? What are you thinking? Let me know down there in the old comment section below. Now the rest of the Rangers team news remains the exact same. Helander still edging closer. We've discussed Ramsey and everyone else is thankfully alright and good to fricking go. And aye, that's as reached the end of today's video already. That is it wrapped up in a neat little bow. All that's left for me today is hand it over to you guys and dive into the comment section and share your opinion, and we will discuss it there further. Whilst you are hopefully getting involved in today's video to let me know your prediction, I will give you mine ahead of this game. I'm going to go with the exact same scoreline as I went for Hearts, 2-0, in the hopes it would be 5-0. So, aye, that's how I'm going. I think it will be. I know there's usually goals back and forth, and I wouldn't be surprised if Hibs score. They usually do in these types of games. However, I'm just going to back us to keep unlikely back-to-back clean sheet, especially with how we've been playing defensively lately. But I backed them with that. Rangers 2, Hibs 0. We'll see how it goes. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Sieging over into 2. That has been Rocky Boy Johnson. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you tomorrow after the game. All the best and bye-bye.